Cinema St. Louis's The Lens is now the takeup.com, a place to gather after the film is over. I'm your host, Joshua Ray, and fear not, all your favorite episodes of The Lens featuring all your favorite guests are still here in your feed, just a little refocused. Stay subscribed to us here for future episodes, and you can follow along for new ones and more at the Takeup STL. Thank you for joining us on The Lens, a Cinema St. Louis podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Ray, Cinema St. Louis programmer and critic. I am joined by my co-host, Andrew Wyatt, programmer and managing editor of The Lens. Andrew.
Hello.
And we've got Kayla McCullough, programmer, social media manager for Cinema St. Louis and critic for The Lens. Hey, Kayla.
Hello.
Well, you can find all of our words at The Lens on cinemastlouis.org. Here, every other week, we will focus on one underloved or underseen film. First, we're going to talk about what's now showing. Then we'll get into The Lens with Gregg Araki's The Living End. Finally, we're going to end with a game and figure out what everyone is known for. All right, Kayla and Andrew, we are onto a new mini-series. I can't believe we demolished the films of 2021 to never speak about them again. And we're on to the queer 90s. Before we get into all that, let's do now showing. Let's talk about some new releases, some events around town. Kayla, you just published a review up on The Lens of Windfall, a film I had heard absolutely nothing about, but has like some cool people and cool lineage to it.
It's about a man who breaks into a rich tech man's vacation home and he suspects that it's empty. But while he's in there, the man and his wife come home and he holds them hostage and pretty much just wants money. But in order to do that, they have to wait a certain amount of time. And while they're being held hostage, they're talking about wealth and relationships, and it's just increasingly more tense. That stars Jason Segel, Jesse Plemons, and they all play certain roles that I haven't ever seen them in before, so it was kind of nice to see like a fresh role for them.
I liked what you said in your review about how like comparing this favorably to Malcolm and Marie, and that it's sort of put a handful of actors in a room and sort of just let things simmer and boil.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about you said it was a more successful version of that than Malcolm and Marie.
How's Jason Segel in it? He hasn't been around for a long time.
He hasn't. He's playing a character that I don't think I've ever seen him play, and I love him, so I pretty much watch everything that he's in. Plemons is playing like a Jeff Bezos type character, just ultra rich white man, and has all the money and the power in the world, and that folds in this time where they're just talking about everything while he's holding them hostage. You could definitely tell that this was a movie that was made throughout COVID, because it was just all in this house.
I think we're going to be in a glut of one setting films and films with like 4 characters for a little bit. We might have already kind of gone through them now that things are, opening up. But, like Hitchcock, he loved the logistical challenge of it. And I think it'll, I'd rather us not go through this, but it is an interesting challenge for filmmakers. Windfall is on Netflix, right?
Netflix, yep.
Okay. And Deep Water is on Hulu. This is Adrian Lyne. When I said that, did your heart tense a little bit? Like, oh God, what's
it's just it? Like this film is like arrived memeable. It's oof.
Oh, you don't even know. Like, I think I'm the only one who's seen it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you two have an assignment after this. You have to watch this thing. First of all, I think it's better than what a lot of people are giving it credit for, than the reputation it's gotten thus far. I think it is sort of a satire on the thing. Adrian Lyne is the director. His last film was Unfaithful. This is someone who's like the master of the 80s and 90s erotic thriller, talking about 9.5 Weeks, Fatal Attraction, made the Lolita
Indecent Proposal.
remake. Indecent Proposal, like the most supreme Hollywood expensive trash. And I say that lovingly because I think he's up to some of the same ideas here. Affleck plays a retired um, warfare engineer, and this is a point of contention between he and his wife, Ana de Armas, the horniest person in the world. Like, this should be called the horniest person in the world. And she just likes to make a mess of everything and play these sexual games with her husband, Ben Affleck. And they are in over their heads with each other. Maybe he's killed someone that she used to sleep with, maybe not. This isn't a spoiler. This is like the first 10 minutes. And I have to say that Adrian Lyne is, I think, still satirizing the kind of white bourgeoisie and their lack of awareness in anything else in the world besides themselves. It does not feel engineered to be a camp classic, but let me tell you, there are lines in this that I want to meme. It feels like it's all very born from these characters. And Ben Affleck is never better when he's just like a seething, mopey, terrible husband, like in Gone Girl. It was originally 2.5 hours. You can tell that they cut a half hour out of it. And
Ask how long it was because I saw that 2.5 hour original runtime.
I wish that it were still 2.5 hours. There's a major criticism everyone has about the ending being very choppy and it lacking an ending. I did not feel that way. I felt like it had purpose, and that was the ending that was intended. And it was with this purpose of being a satire. And the movie is very hilarious. And sometimes maybe not intentionally, but filmmaker intent to the wind. I had a good time with it, and I think everyone's sort of unfairly and unjustly maligning it. But we should talk about maybe some better thrillers, horror movies. Andrew, you saw a couple of Sundance horror breakouts.
Fresh is on Hulu. Master is on Amazon. I think of the two, I preferred Fresh slightly. They're neither what I would call sort of really excellent horror films. They're both have that sort of low budget streaming horror feel to them, even though they sort of premiered at Sundance. But they both have some interesting things going on. I think of the two, Fresh is a little better. It's I don't know if I can even talk about it without spoiling like the big twist in it that happens at the end of the first act. But Daisy Edgar Jones plays a sort of woman in her 30s, burnt out on the dating scene, using dating apps and so forth. Until she runs into a guy at the grocery store the traditional way. That's played by Sebastian Stan in sort of charming guy mode. And they hit it off, and she thinks it's going to come to something, and it turns into something very, very different than she thought it was going to be. I've seen some criticisms of the film that sort of say that it's a sort of one-note allegory and that it doesn't really do anything with that allegory. I don't disagree, but I do think it works really well as a straight survival horror film. Like, it doesn't need to be a deep film. It's a sort of, I was genuinely like nerve-wracked about what the heck was going to happen and how she was going to get out of the situation. So I think just as that, it works. But yeah, the sort of metaphorical aspects of it aren't as deep as the filmmaker think it is. But it's well done for what it is. Directed by Mimi Cave. Master is a little bit trickier, I think. I think it's a more ambitious film. Directed by Mariama Diallo, starring Regina Hall and Zoe Renee. Sort of a university horror thing where Regina Hall is the first what's called a housemaster at this, which is sort of a live-in faculty prestigious live-in faculty position at this exclusive New England university that's like 300 years old. And Zoe Renee plays one of the few Black undergraduates who's coming in as a freshman. And there's all these stories about that her dorm room is haunted, and if there's a witch who is burned or hanged on the property. It's kind of like a legendary reputation, but it's also kind of a social race horror film about like microaggression and intimidation and racism on campus. It's more ambitious. I don't think it really comes together. Like, first of all, they split the protagonist between this professor and an undergraduate student, and it kind of scatters the film's attention a little bit. It doesn't ever really amount to anything. There are some effective scenes and scares in it, but I felt like, I don't know, it felt a little too loose, and at the end it just kind of peters out. It doesn't really resolve to like kind of was expecting it to sort of build to a gonzo crazy reveal, and it doesn't really do anything like that.
No new Candyman ending where your jaw's on the floor like, are they really doing this?
Yeah, nothing like that. It's a film that has more on its mind than it knows what to do with, if that makes sense. Like it's trying to do a lot of things in terms of this socially conscious horror, but it never really resolves them to anything great. The performances are fine. Regina Hall and Zoe Renee are both really good at it and very credible, playing almost against sort of more cartoonish antagonist characters, but they're sort of pretty consistently credible and sympathetic in the film, but it just didn't quite come together. I think if you're going to watch the one or the two, fresh is the better, just in terms of, I want to watch a terrifying movie about a woman in a terrifying situation and trying to get out. How is she going to get out of it? And sort of using her smarts and her cunning to get out of it.
Very cool. Well, if you're looking to leave the house, Wash U has the 16th annual African Film Festival starting March 25th, running through that Sunday, the 27th. Andrew, you reviewed at the Lens one of the films that will be shown.
Yeah, I actually did not know this when I decided to review it. I reviewed it because I saw it on Mubi. It was really taken by it, and I thought I wanted to bring some wider attention to it. The film is Lingui: The Sacred Bonds. I'm excited that it's playing in a sort of theatrical venue. This is a new film by the Chadian filmmaker Mohamed Saleh Haroun, who I guess, if there is only one internationally acclaimed Chadian filmmaker, it's probably Haroun. But he's the director of several notable sort of international breakout films, including Darat and A Screaming Man, which won the jury prize, which effectively third place at the Cannes Film Festival about 12 years ago. And his new film was really good. I liked it a lot. It's essentially an abortion drama. It's about a woman, Amina, single mom in the capital city of Chad, who has a 15-year-old daughter who becomes pregnant, won't tell her who the father is, gets expelled from school as a result. And how these two, she's initially sort of mad at her daughter, but then they sort of together resolve to find a way to secure this abortion. And it's, in some ways, it's plays almost like a low-key thriller after a while, about how in a country where abortion is illegal and religiously frowned upon, how do you go about terminating pregnancy? Haroun has a habit of making films that initially feel like sort of social realist dramas and take sort of noirish turns eventually, which I think is really cool. He definitely has some French New Wave influences in his style. And it's just, it ends up, weirdly, I think it ends up being like the warmest film he's ever made in some ways, because all his films have sort of a nasty, caustic side, or at least sort of dismal side eventually. And this one ends up being, even though it's about sort of a serious topic, and it's very grounded in sort of social realism, it ends up being a film very much about like the strength of women, particularly the strength of women in societies where they have to sort of scrabble to get everything that they can. So very excellent. It's, I don't know the other films that are playing at African Film Festival, but I can definitely recommend this one.
Well, it's going to be going all weekend over there, and there's plenty to choose from. But that one is Saturday night at 7 p.m. and it's all in Brown Hall at Wash U. And after you watch it, you can head over to cinemastlouis.org and read your review and listen to this podcast again. Why not?
And I should say that my review doesn't have spoilers, so you could definitely read it beforehand if you want to get a better sense for what it's about.
Perfect. Well, let's get into some spoilers and talk about our first queer 90s film. That's Gregg Araki's The Living End.
Which would you rather die for? Sex or love?
So what's your name? You sexy slab of buff beefcake.
Luke.
Stop it, Daisy. You just want to play hide the weenie with him, and you know it.
Where's the party, animal? 15 left.
The test only verifies that you have the antibodies to the virus.
We've come to the lens portion of the podcast where we focus on one underloved or underseen film. We do it in a set of mini series. First one we had was films of 2021, and now we're on to queer 90s. Bro, I won't do that. I won't do it all. Cowabunga, queer 90s. No one likes it. Whatever. Andrew kind of likes it.
There is a TMNT reference in this movie.
Yes, there is. Absolutely. I want to give our audience context. The reason we're moving into this specific mini series is Cinema St. Louis's micro festival, QFest St. Louis, now in its 15th edition. We're celebrating the new queer cinema movement, as E. Ruby Rich, the great critic and great queer theorist herself, termed in 1992. We're going to be highlighting Todd Haynes' Poison, one of the key films of the movement. So in conjunction, we are doing a queer 90s miniseries, sometimes related to new queer cinema, sometimes, spiraling outward from the movement. So we've got a lot to talk about over the next 4 episodes. Each of us has a pick, and we will have a guest bringing a pick too. I will say a friend of ours and an authority, Kate Lohr, adjunct professor at Webster University and contributor to The Lens. Cinema St. Louis fans will be familiar with her. She's going to be joining us in a couple episodes. But first up, we have Andrew's pick. That is the 1992 film Gregg Araki's The Living End. And I want to know why Andrew picked this, but I feel like it's probably because it's about a film critic in their own personal apocalypse. Is that true?
No, it's not. I actually went into this film sight unseen. I know that some of our films that we're picking for the show are films that we personally love and we want to expose the other guests to. But in this case, this was a film that I had never seen before, and it was sort of a hole in my cinematic literacy, and I wanted to fill it. Gregg Araki is a filmmaker who I've seen some of his films before. I've seen Mysterious Skin, which I think is sort of his probably most well-known film. The Doom Generation, which is sort of a touchstone for a lot of late Gen Xers, early millennials, and his stoner comedy Smiley Face, which is an early Ferris film. But I'd never seen this one, which is sort of held out as sort of his early film that put him on the map as someone to watch. So I picked it kind of going in, not knowing what to expect myself.
Very cool. Kayla, what's your history with Gregg Araki and or The Living End?
I'm familiar, but this was the first thing I had ever seen by him.
That is incredible. Well, like most everyone at the time, right? This is actually his 3rd film. I will say that I am very familiar with Gregg Araki. He was seminal while I was finding my cinephilia and also my queer identity. So, of course, as a little gay boy, I loved these films because they are so transgressive and have these portraits of queer life and queer people who are sort of unabashedly queer and unabashedly themselves. And even though they're sort of at the extreme end of that in content and filmmaking, very inspiring for just a little boy in rural Missouri to see people behaving this way.
I would say that, like, to go back to your original comment, that like as soon as I was watching it and I find out that John is a film critic, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is dialed specifically into our interests here. Whatever else happens in this movie, I know that like we have a film, like down and out film critic who can barely make a living, sort of grousing about the state of cinema in generally. Like, ooh, okay, we're going to respond to this in some way.
And he is a non-working film critic, but he's working on a piece on the end of cinema. You could say that's sort of a quote from Godard's Weekend that ends with the greatest ending ever, which is Fin du Cinema. So this film is expressly informed by that early French New Wave, specifically Godard and his sort of galaxy brain of film and literature. It's also inspired by, or it takes on the form of a very traditional noir narrative.
I was gonna say it reminded me a lot of Breathless in that way, with like the crime spree and then when they're on the run and the unique style. And there's even a Godard poster up like in the room.
Made in USA.
Yeah, a lot of the interior shots. So I think that that's totally intentional.
You could spend a lot of time just sort of squeeing over the production design and all the references that Eric Araki works into, like everything from the clothing to the posters that are hanging on the wall and the billboards. Like there's all kinds of interesting things going on there, as well as some like direct quotations from specific films, as you mentioned.
And the music of the time. It's a very sort of hipster film because of all of these references, but I don't mean that in a derogatory sense at all, because there's, Luke is wearing at one point a Jesus and Mary chain. That the film itself gets its title from a Jesus and Mary chain song. It's from Psycho Candy, which is their most well-known album. And it's a very fuzzed out sort of 60s early garage band sounding song that is sort of has a pop structure. And I think that is interesting because that's what this film is too. It has this pop structure, but it is completely through a modern lens. And this is a lot of what new queer cinema was up to. It's like, let's look at our existing forms and let's queer these spaces and let's share our stories through this. Some critics have thought that was sort of detrimental to the movement in like an erasure of the now and too much of reverence for the past. But I feel like this film is imbued with such anger, danger, and just extreme emotion about the state of queer life that any sort of reverence for the past is only just sort of repurposed in a very special way.
There obviously is that anger there, but it also just feels like exhaustion. Like the tiredness of like the inaction, like that no one is like, helping them or the world at large.
I have a quote underlined here in my notes that when John first picks Luke up and asks, "Where do you want to go?" His response is, "Off this fucking insane planet." You say that like that anger, because that's like something I picked up on as well, because I don't think of this as like having watched it now, I think the log line conveyed to me that it was an HIV film. That's an AIDS film. It's not in the sense that it's not a film where the HIV drives the plot in some overt way, the way it does with maybe a more sentimental AIDS drama, but the sense of how the epidemic changed the psychology and the social reality for gay people at the time, like it becomes the driving engine of everything in the movie. It's what's pushing Luke and John out the door on the road with each other. It's pushing all the self-destructive things that they do, and the sense of flailing, not sure where they fit in the world, the anger about the AIDS epidemic and the inaction. There's a great line about George Bush. Luke speculates that they should drive all the way to Washington, D.C. and inject George Bush with their blood, which is just like it's a very nihilistic punk sentiment, but something that feels completely appropriate coming out of Luke's mouth when he says it.
And it feels earned. And that, I feel like, has to, when you get that death sentence, which at the time it was, things are very different now. It is not a death sentence. It should never have been stigmatized and should never be stigmatized now.
Nope.
But at the time, this is for these two people, once they're told that, that's it. And that's why it's called the living end. They're living in this purgatory space that Kayla was talking about.
You talked about some of the reverence for the past, in addition to sort of older structures, noir structures, and tropes. There's also like this very 80s LA feel to the film, even though it's made in 1992. He's very much looking back at like the LA films of the 1980s and forming some of his choices. There's a lot of Repo Man in this film, I think.
The beer can. Did you notice that?
Right.
The brand of beer can.
Well, also the line "I blame society" that
Right.
Luke spray paints on the wall. That's a quote from Repo Man. I don't think Luke is spray painting it as a quote from Repo Man. He's expressing his own feeling in that graffiti more so than he is quoting Repo Man. But there's also just a general sense of slightly off-kilterness or nightmarishness that this is not a post-apocalyptic film. This is not a post-near future film in any stretch, but it has that Repo Man quality of being a slightly surreal space.
The film opens on a title that is an irresponsible film by Greg Araki.
I love that.
And we should have framed it this way before we even started talking about it, because to your point, it is inheriting a lot of sort of queer filmmakers. And again, new queer cinema, you're sort of saying, you know, we're being reverential for these things and sometimes referential to Alex Cox's Repo Man does seem to find its way in there. But it's also a very cheaply made film. It was made for $20,000. And it speaks to Araki's cinematic senses that it doesn't necessarily look $20,000 cheap. It looks cheap. And the filmmaking is very clearly done on a budget. But he has a sense of, in every frame, the apocalyptic. And it is a personal apocalypse for the image of the film, which finds its way onto a DVD cover and posters eventually, is the two of them, John and Luke, just facing off as they're laying on top of each other. And so there's sexual tension with them, but it's also sort of a romantic, like they find this bond together that I found incredibly touching. I'd seen this before, but as a teen, like I'm just looking for like, whoa, there's gay sex, and whoa, there's violence, and whoa, it's like, you know, Godard and Andy Warhol and a bit of John Waters and all of these things that I'm loving, and it's just synthesizing. But this time I was moved by the experience of these people, and while it isn't necessarily about the body in a sense of the effects of HIV, it's about what you were talking about, Andrew, the kind of psychological effects of this epidemic.
That romantic element is there. I think that irresponsible film came back to me when I was thinking about, like, the question that everybody asks with, you know, any film older than 10 years now is, could you make this film today? I think in some ways, like, if a queer filmmaker made this movie with this plot today, like, they might receive some criticism for how the romantic relationship is portrayed, that there would be intimations that the dynamic is toxic and horrible and that the film is somehow lionizing it. But I also think, like, the part that jumped out to me is the softer, even though there are like some crazy toxic highs in this film in terms of how the relationship bounces back and forth so fast between love and hate, you know, but there's also some like incredibly soft, sensitive moments. I love the disarming way that Luke just sort of blurts out that, you know, how much he loves John, like even after only spending a few days with him, that he's completely swept. Even though Luke has the more aggressive dynamic, more aggressive personality, he admits to John just bluntly that, you know, you've totally like got my heart. You've totally captured my love now. I forget the exact wording he uses, but John also being like this self-loathing character in so many ways, not just as a gay man, not just as an HIV positive man, but just as a poor film critic and as a general person. Like he he's so self-loathing when Luke sort of bluntly expresses his love to him after only a day or two. Like John's just flat out doesn't believe him. He thinks he's pulling his leg.
Right. And
Because his
John's-
self-loathing is so intense.
John's already expressed that. Why he says to his friend Darcy, why do I always pick the bad ones?
Right. The trouble.
It's like Charlie XCX, but I always let the good ones go.
Yep.
While I don't know that Rocky is really concerned with the romantic nature of it, I think he is sort of picking those things up from Bonnie and Clyde or Breathless.
Right.
They Live by Night, to go even earlier. It's to me more of the sort of like found families that queer people have to make and the connections that we have to make because of our ostracization. That's sort of a framework for all queer theory, is that, you know, we can only look at ourselves through the impositions that others have upon us. And I think that's an interesting framework to think about this film too, and what the guerrilla filmmaking that he's inheriting and its reverence for the past, but the sort of explosive emotional and psychological eruption of what's happened to these people in getting their death sentence and sort of living through it. Again, it is not concerned about the body and the effects of HIV in that way, and it has been criticized for that, as it sort of just using that for punk measures. But I
Well,
think
John has the sick cough at one point.
yeah,
The movie sick cough.
yeah, he does have a very Camille sick cough towards the end, and it's sort of just it's silly.
But there is a sublime. I do think there's like almost a sublime line that Luke has that I love, where he talks about after he cuts himself.
Yeah.
In this act of like self-harm near the end of the film, Luke says something like, "You'd think that something so powerful, like I'd be able to see it, but my blood just looks like blood." Like he's ruminating in his own a non-scientific way about, like, you know, the profundity of this invisible thing, this invisible ball of proteins floating around in his blood being the thing that's going to kill him, the thing that's going to kill so many men. It's a nice moment. Like, you're right in that it's not a film about physical degeneration so much, but I do like it has these moments of recognition about that, about the surreal nature of the whole thing.
Like, this is a movie that's difficult to like, you know. Especially if you're not familiar with Iraqi at all, or sort of don't respond, I don't know. Kayla, I can't get a sense. This is me leading up, a big lead up to say, Kayla, did you like this or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we want to talk about the cinematography, I think it was shot beautifully. I went to see who was the cinematographer, and I didn't know that it was him, that it was actually Greg. The shot compositions, the glow of this sun, the colors, like, it looks excellent, even in spite of how like little it costs to shoot. But that's the glory of actually, you know, using real film. I watched it on Criterion, and I will say, like, it was really, really, really nice, because it was, you know, just like top quality. Where like I had looked up the trailer, and I was like, like, the restoration on Criterion is obviously so much more top tier than anything else.
I have the Strand releasing DVD, and it's solid enough. I don't know what year it came out. It might be a little older, but
Now,
it seems pretty good.
okay, here's where we get into something that's confusing, and I'm not finding a lot of facts about. Do you have the DVD that's labeled as remixed and remastered?
It's labeled as remixed and remastered.
I don't know. I believe he did it in 2009. So this is after the first time I saw it. Like, Netflix used to be such a haven for cinephiles, and especially little queer baby cinephiles like me, because you could get something like The Living End on a really shitty looking DVD, and have your mind blown. But I'm just not, I believe that is also what's widely available now. Like, it's supplanted any original cut, but I'm also not finding a lot of information about it. So, dear listeners, if you have any intel, I'm very curious. But
It is not out of print. I got it pretty cheaply, so
Nice.
I will say you can find it on Amazon or whatever you prefer. It does include a 2008 essay or introduction by Erica Araki and a filmmaker statement. So it's at least post 2008.
It's uncommon for filmmakers who were sort of came through this movement to have the opportunity to do something like that. I think there are only a few who are still working and living. Todd Haynes is certainly the most high profile. And it's odd that if you would see a film like Poison and then look at his, IMDb credits, that he ends up making something for Amazon and has Oscar nominations and things like that. Araki did not take that track, but continued working in this vein for quite some time. He has a Teenage Apocalypse trilogy. I think that's what he calls it, of Totally Fucked Up, Nowhere, and The Doom Generation. And I probably like The Living End marginally more than those films. I haven't seen Nowhere in quite some time. It is unavailable because of the rights issues with the soundtrack. But then, he makes something like Splendor, which is he calls it his screwball comedy. Sure. Eventually he gets to something like Mysterious Skin, which is something of a level up in critical appreciation and getting that label of maturity, right?
I mean, I think that's warranted. Like I watched Mysterious Skin recently as well, and if you watch them back to back, like it feels. I'm not going to denigrate Living End by saying it feels like a test run for Mysterious Skin.
Sure.
I do it, and in some ways, it's like the roughness of Living End is essential to why it works. But you go from that to Mysterious Skin, it's like, okay, now he's arrived. Like this is a filmmaker who's completely in command and has the budget to do what he wants to do.
It's elegant, it's smart, but it still contains the seeds of the transgressive depictions of queer life, of the kind of abuses these characters go through. And that one specifically, it's the sexual abuse. To me, that was also another seminal film, and I think it's probably his best. But there are Araki purists who would argue for some of these earlier ones. But then he makes something like Smiley Face. Have you ever seen Smiley Face?
Yes, I have. I actually like it.
Yeah, me too. It's the ultimate stoner comedy. It is like you don't have to smoke to watch it, because you will feel really fucking high watching it. And it's one of Anna Faris's greatest performances. I don't know how she...
Like right before she really broke out.
Yeah, and she has to be high making that thing, right? Because if she's not, she's giving one of the great, it is supremely difficult to act fucked up on screen without being fucked up. So
it has one of my favorite, there's a seminal scene that's in every stoner film, which is the how we thought it was, how it really was scene, where you get how the high person thought that they were acting and then we get the cut to how the 500 Days of Summer cut, where they actually get to see how they actually acted. And it has, I'm not going to spoil it, but it has probably the best version of that I've ever seen.
It's truly incredible. But I feel like he's sort of in the wilderness. It seems like he would be primed to be working more. And he has worked since then. He had a Stars TV series and a really fun and sort of sublimely weird film that won the Queer Palm in 2011. Kaboom, yeah. Which is a lot of fun and sort of harken back to his origins. But then he made something like White Bird in a Blizzard. Have you guys seen that?
No,
it came at
the log line of that though. I was like, wait, what?
It is kind of a wait, what film? It's sort of more typical indie than anything else he's made. It's got Shailene Woodley in it. I don't remember much about it, which is not really a compliment. It seems like he's the type of person be primed to tap into Netflix money or I don't know, A24 money. Like he should be around. He should be working. And he's a lot older than I thought he was. For me, he's like perpetually my age right now. But he's in his 60s now, but he's still as transgressive as ever and interested in queer identity and interested in updating some outmoded notions that he has about queer life too. I read a really great interview with him on Vulture, where he was talking about some of the criticisms of his early work and countering some of them, but also sort of agreeing with some of it with hindsight. But he is such a fascinating filmmaker.
I was a little like amused about how closely Luke's musical taste mirrors my own in 1992. Like,
You were a Luke.
I was a little straight teenage boy, but I was very much into Ministry, KMFDM, Coil, like all the stuff, all the industrial music you hear him do. Although I also had a John side. I also liked me some Smiths. I also liked me some Echo and the Bunnymen. But it's the t-shirts that Luke wears in this movie are pretty much the t-shirts I would have been wearing in 1992. It's the sullen, I guess it would have been junior in high school.
I'm definitely more of a John. There's a point where who are they listening to? And there's a Smiths poster in the background. And it's like, how do you double cancel an image? Because we've got to get that. But that's such a great image where they're having this pink Barbie cereal at the Smiths. Like
in a can of generic beer for breakfast.
Yeah. And he's pouring the Repo Man beer in his Barbie cereal. Man, I was born too late. Like,
well, it's a great production design film, even apart from everything else. There's one particular shot where they're coming out of a convenience store, and you have in the same shot you have John and Luke, a 7-Eleven sign, a billboard in the back, an LA billboard in the background advertising a cowboy boot emporium, and in the foreground there is inexplicably and never commented on a couple of like street corner crazies reading aloud from the Declaration of Independence.
I love it.
Like all in one shot. This sort of low angle looking up. It's very much a timeless film in some ways, but also a time capsule film in some ways.
And it speaks to his filmmaking prowess that he's able to frame something like that from zero budget, and what it would take for someone of, I don't know, lesser talents or different talents to be able to do something like that would take money, to whereas he just knows where to put a camera.
I made a note here that after a film that's, and this goes back to the music, after a film that's so invested in its soundtrack and in product placing bands and so forth, in the end, the music disappears and we're down to just the crashing waves for that last few minutes on the beach, which I think is beautiful.
It is their living in their, purgatorial space in which they have to exist, but they know that their time is limited. It's so deeply upsetting, and it does. I can't ever say that I know what that must feel like, but it strikes true to me, the end of this film.
Yeah, they're just at an impasse.
There's nothing left.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a, like, almost we mentioned that there's a tiny thread of post-apocalyptic feeling in this film, and I get that at the end, even though the end is also like the dreamiest and most abstracted part of the film. You get a little bit. I have a little bit of a Kiss Me Deadly sort of. It's the end of the world, and we're laying on the beach feeling to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point to leave it, is the apocalypse. Are you guys ready to play a game about Greg Araki?
I've forgotten what game we're playing. Or did you not tell us?
You're about to find out.
Okay.
All right, now we're on to our living in. It's the rules of the game, and we're going to play Known For, also known as the IMDb game. I have picked out 3 performers who starred in Greg Araki films, And what we do is we're going to quiz each other. Everyone gets a time in the spotlight. They're going to get one of the performers, and they have to guess the top 4 titles they're known for on their IMDb pages. Rules are we have to say if any television or voiceover work is listed, and you get 2 wrong guesses before we start giving hints. We haven't done this, but I picked this up from another podcast. And well, I played it before the podcast. I feel like it's been in the cinephile ether for a long time. So we've picked out 3 Greg Araki stars. We've got Anna Faris from Smiley Face, Joseph Gordon-Levitt from Mysterious Skin, and Shailene Woodley from White Bird and a Blizzard. I'm going to go first. I want what I think would be the hard one. Maybe with Anna Faris. Yeah, give me Anna Faris. I'm gonna guess Scary Movie.
Close.
Which
Which one? Scary Movie 2. It's
No.
not Scary Movie 2.
not Scary Movie 2?
Then 3.
No.
Are you fucking kidding me? Is it Scary Movie 4?
Yeah.
It's Scary Movie 4? Which one even is that? Oh, wait, is that the one where with the ring stuff in it?
I have no idea. I have never
Who
seen these
knows?
movies. They look so terrible.
It's the one from 2006.
Oh my God. All right. Well, now that I've used up all those guesses, you get to give me the years of the remaining 3 films.
The first one, 2008. The
Okay.
second one, 2005. And the third one, 2005 as well.
What? 2005, Anna Faris. Well, okay. The only one that immediately comes to mind is Just Friends.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
That was the
Yeah.
tough one.
And that's with Ryan Reynolds, right? Where
Yep.
he's in a fat suit, she's in a fat, someone's in a fat suit in that at
He
some
is.
point. Wow, I worked at Blockbuster then, so that's the only reason I know that. So there must be another 2005. Please tell me there are no more scary movies.
Yeah.
No. No more scary movies.
Okay, the 2008 one. All right, I need more hints.
I've seen this a lot, so I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's kind of like Mean Girls meets Legally
The House
Blonde.
Bunny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's her best performance,
Yeah,
right? Is
yeah.
the House Bunny.
That-
Well, and
that's
maybe
good.
Smiley Face and
Well, that's what when you were talking about that, I was like, my mind just went to this.
wait.
It feels like that was her first like lead role, right?
It was certainly like
And
a
okay,
breakout.
her first studio lead role.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right. Well, other than Scary Movie. Okay. Is 2008 Smiley Face?
No, 2008 is The House Bunny.
Oh, 2008's The House Bunny? Okay.
Yeah. So you have
okay.
one more from 2015.
Okay.
Or 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a clue on the 2005s.
Didn't know she was in this.
Andrew, you look so excited about this.
No,
one.
it's just I'm with Kayla. I do not remember her being in this. Award Spady, but also like legitimately great film from 2005.
Well, she's in Lost in Translation, but that's 2003. 2005 awards bait.
But also, we all agree it's legitimately a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2000. Is she a Brokeback Mountain?
Yes, she
Yeah.
is. I don't remember it at all, but she is.
I'm looking at it and she's like credited all the way at the end. So
What's her character name? Does she
LaShawn Malone.
Malone? So she's just like someone hanging out. Oh my God. So yeah, I guess I have to watch Brokeback Mountain again. Okay. Oh, wow. Our first time playing this, I truly bombed. All right.
I feel like that was a difficult one though, right out of the gate.
I do feel good that you think that was a difficult one because I also felt like it was difficult doing it. Okay, Andrew, you pick next. And I'm sorry, Kayla, you get the leftover.
Well, I'll do Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph
I
Gordon-Levitt.
I stand a much better chance with him.
Okay, well, let's see.
Okay.
All right, well, it's the internet, so Inception's gonna be on there.
Correct.
Well, again, the internet. So, The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-mm.
No,
Okay.
he's not listed for Dark Knight Rising, probably because he's a little bit down on the call sheet for the call sheet.
The credits.
The credits, but
But then we just had Anna Faris in Brokeback Mountain, which I couldn't even remember she was in.
wild. Yeah. The
The
rest of them are definitely like he's the top line.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of them are pretty easy, except one is not.
One
on
I
there.
forgot existed.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna guess 500 Days of Summer.
No, which
No,
I'm surprised.
wild.
No, it's like pretty far. Like you have to
Wow.
scroll for a while.
Okay, now this is getting tough.
Okay,
I only have one of four. So what are my years?
So your years are 2011, 2012, and 2013. Does that help you?
One of them is Looper. Then.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
So now you've got 2013 and 2011.
No TV. Okay.
So we should
Yeah,
have said that.
That's actually surprising. This is a tough one. Can I get a hint?
He directed one of them.
I don't know.
For these two that we have left, he has an affliction in both of them.
Oh, 50-50.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more where he has an affliction?
Uh-huh.
Oof.
His affliction is that he's horny.
It's Don John?
It is Don John.
That's one of his most known roles, really?
Yeah. I would say it is probably because he wrote and directed it. Like he gets a bump because of that.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah. Again, it's anyone's guess as to what the actual algorithm is, but incredible. You did a great job with that. All right. So that means Shailene Woodley.
Shailene Woodley, which I feel like this will be pretty easy because she was like in my like era.
Right.
There is one TV show in her four credits.
Yeah, so that's probably. Well, I'm gonna say Secret Life of the American Teenager.
Nope.
Yeah, so okay, if it's not Secret Life, then it's TV show. Probably Big Little Lies.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. The Fault in Our Stars is probably.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The Spectacular Now?
Nope.
No.
All right. Let's give you some years. 2014.
Oh, Divergent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so good at this. And then 2021.
2020.
A film I know exists only because of you.
Oh yeah. The Last Letter from Your Lover.
Yes.
What the heck? Why is that?
I don't know. I guess it's Netflix.
You
It's
tr-
popular.
You trounced us this episode, Kayla.
We should have given you, I don't know, one of the dudes from The Living End.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna.
bet it's just The Living End listed 4 times.
Yeah, just because like as I was growing up, she was just always like in everything.
It's wild to me, like that The Descendants isn't on here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's a forgotten movie.
I honestly would have guessed The Fault in Our Stars and then the 3 Divergent movies. Like
That is probably a good guess to have. Although I don't know, just after the first Divergent, didn't it just kind of feel weird that other ones came out? Did anyone see those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredible.
but I feel like the internet being again, like that's why maybe pick the Nolan movies. The internet being the internet, like fandoms kind of I feel like must boost something on the IMDb.
And that's why she's got Big Little Lies on there again.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, and she's in The Fallout too, which
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. She's the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And don't forget, in 2021, she's also in the Mauritanian,
Oh,
a
yeah.
film I got 1,000 emails about, and that's all I know about it.
It was nominated for an Oscar, wasn't it?
Well, Jodie Foster wasn't nominated for an Oscar, but she did win the Golden Globe.
That's what it was. Okay.
Wow. Well, IMDb, the first website I ever visited, because you can get down rabbit holes like this. I absolutely love you and hate you. Very good. All right. So that was a lot of fun, but I think we should go ahead and close things out with one more thing. As we close out our first episode in the Queer 90s miniseries, we're going to give you one more thing. That's something that each of us have enjoyed over the past 2 weeks. Kayla, will you go first and then drop your socials for everyone to follow you?
Yeah, so my one thing this week has been Crash, the new album by Charlie XCX. Highly acclaimed. She's put out the singles like all the way back in like September.
And it's been forever.
Yeah. So I'm happy that it's finally out in the world and we can enjoy it and listen to it. And you can find me on Letterboxd. It's just my name, Kayla McCullough. And yeah.
I'm not going to let you get away easy. I want to know where it ranks in the Charlie discography for you.
I think my number one is still How I'm Feeling Now. And I think that's just because like it was the most recent one and like I've had time with it. But I still love Pop 2 for like what it is. Maybe like my fourth pick, right? Like ranking number 4.
Well, the fourth best Charlie record is, a great record. So
you reviewed her like COVID lockdown film, like self-made little like about the creation of I think it was the previous album, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
I'm feeling now.
And that was a good review. Like it convinced me that I need to watch the film, despite not being like a huge Charlie fan.
I thought I liked her until I met my boyfriend now, and then our subsequent friend group, and now I'm like, can we all stop talking about Charlie? But I will say that Kayla, it makes me like Charlie again. I love the way Kayla loves Charlie, is how I love Charlie. The rest of them are all crazy about her. All right.
I had to laugh because the photos of her that went viral this week were her wearing a t-shirt that says they don't build statues to critics. So like, am I allowed to be amused by something that's also denigrating me?
I guess I wasn't. I tweeted that with an image of Roger Ebert's thumbs up statue in Champaign-Urbana.
Oh,
because they do actually build characters, but whatever, Charlie, it's fine. You can be your crazy self. Okay, Andrew, what's one more thing and your socials?
My one more thing I'm enjoying this week is the new series, The Dropout, on Hulu, which is about the true story, fictionalized version of the story of Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. Created, and the showrunner is Elizabeth Merriweather from The New Girl. And I guess the director of the first couple episodes is Michael Showalter, who's not a director I'm not crazy about, but so far it's been really good. I am not what I would call like a huge Amanda Seyfried stan. Like I wouldn't see a film just because she's in it. But she is killing it in this series. She is awesome. It's really striking a very good balance between mimicry and sensitive portraiture, and also sort of slightly like cartoonish supervillainy all at the same time somehow. It's really working for me, and they're on up to 5 episodes so far, and the cast is just ridiculous. Like Stephen Fry is in it, Naveen Andrews, Elizabeth Marvel, Laurie Metcalf, Bill Irwin, William H. Macy. Like the cast is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, the ridiculously stacked cast, but Amanda Seyfried is just killing it in the lead role.
Very good. I'm excited to catch up with it.
You can find me on Twitter at Arachnophiliac and on Letterboxd at AWyatt76.
The one thing I've got for everyone is Goodfellas. Let me go back a bit. The Webster Film Series here in St. Louis has been doing a 90s on 35 millimeter series, and they started with Boogie Nights, which is my favorite of the films, and I did not get to see it. As I understand it, it was a wild and very fun viewing, but I did get to see both Goodfellas and Fargo on 35 millimeter on the big screen.
Ooh.
Two films I've never seen theatrically, and two films that I appreciate and love. I thought appropriately, but after seeing both of them in an audience on the big screen, on film, on their intended format, I was just completely bowled over, and it just reinvigorated, especially with Goodfellas, a film that I love, and it hasn't ever been my top Scorsese, and I thought was maybe marginally overrated by people. I don't know, because
No, it is not.
it isn't. It isn't. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. That movie is special. Every second of it is just the most invigorating cinematic experience, and is so smartly made, and is about terrible men and the terrible things that they do, and so incredibly morally complex in the filmmaking, only buttresses those ideas. And I just endorsed Goodfellas. Like,
Well,
should
that's
just not be on this podcast.
you endorsed
anymore.
Goodfellas on film.
I did. And so I endorsed something you can't do anymore.
But I
Why
do
don't you-
recommend. I do recommend that the new book. Actually, new. It came out a couple of years ago by the New York Times critic Glenn Kenny. He wrote a book-length treatment of Made Men, about Goodfellas called Made Men, and it's awesome.
Very good. Maybe that's going to be my next recommendation when I read it, because I am all in. You can find me at Crispy Retinas on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram. And you can find all of us on The Lens at cinemastlouis.org, where you can read our latest work. Thank you for joining us on our first episode in the Queer 90s series. Next week, we've got Kayla's pick, which is the Wachowskis' Bound, and I am so excited to talk about it. Probably going to be our longest episode yet, because I won't shut up about it. But thank you so much for joining us this week, and that's the way it crumbles, cookie-wise.